Hello and welcome back to my series of videos about old calculators. Today I want to talk about a big one, a Texas Instrument calculator, and I'll show it to you in a little while. But let's see what the year was. The year was 1977, so that's quite a while, but not very old. So 1977. If you want to do business and calculate loan interest and price and of everything, what can you use? Well, let's see. You could use something like this. Well, of course, that's a joke, but I think they were still selling them at that time. You know, it's just an adding machine, but doing the job. You know, you can add numbers. Of course, it would take a long time to calculate the interest rate of something, but to show the progress we made. The other thing you could use was this portable mechanical calculator. This is an Alpina calculator, and I love it because it's small, compact, fit in your hand, and you can do all type of calculation like first addition, but if you move the cursor you can do multiplication in like a couple turn of this wheel here. So this was a competitor of the Curta calculator, and those were not very popular. Not many of them were sold, but anyway, that's I love the shape of it and all the internal gears. That's very nice. However, 1977 was the era of electronics, so you could use something like this, which is electronic calculator, portable, fit in your pocket, made by HP, and this one is the 67. So 67 is a programmable calculator. You can enter programs, execute them, but the nice idea with this one too is if you look at those two slots here on the side, one of them is to enter magnetic cards. So those cards could have pre-programmed functions, or you can even create your own cards by if you write a program on this, you can store it on the card here on the magnetic card and read it later. You don't have to retype everything. So these were very useful because of the size and also because of the reliability, and a lot of people were buying these, rich people, because this was about $450 in 1977. That's about, I don't know, I would say half a month of salary. So not everybody was buying that. Now let's go back to the calculator that I want to show you today, because if you have an office, what you want to get is a desktop, and if you want to get a desktop, you will get this one. This one is the Texas-Instruments SR60A, and the first thing that you can see on this calculator is that there's a lot of buttons here, a lot of touch. You can do a bunch of stuff simply by pressing one button, and there were a lot of functions already pre-programmed, and this calculator was aimed at either realtor office, selling house, having to calculate interest, loans, and so on, or insurance office. Same thing, you know, to calculate with the interest rate and so on. But the first look at it, a lot of buttons, a very large display. By the way, it's an LED display, and a printer here on the side if you want to give a receipt to somebody. So, as I said, the year was 1977. So, if you are old enough, you can remember what happened in 1977. I had to look because I didn't really remember. All I know is that I finished high school in 1977, and I was just fresh out to college. But in the US, the president was Jimmy Carter. And interesting fact, very funny for those of you who are selling stocks, the Dow Jones was less than 900. If you look around today, it's more in the 26,000 value. The average price, if you want to buy a new house, $54,000. So yeah, but of course, what was the average salary for somebody? Around 13.5K a year. So let's just remember this machine here was sold for $2,000. The average salary was 13.5K. So this machine was about two months of salary for an average guy. So of course you first understand that this was more for business than for personal use. Interesting fact also, in '77, Atari came out the console, the 2600, Atari 2600. If you're old enough, you've been playing with those, and I know a bunch of new guys who still play with those. Sad fact, Elvis Presley died. But on the bright side, if you go to the movies, you could see some very nice movies like Star Wars, Saturday Night Fever, Close Encounter of the Third Kind. I mean, all those are legendary movies. I've seen them many times. If you look at computers, because '77 was the real beginning of the computers, we had something called the PET, P-E-T computer. This one boasted a very large 4,000 byte of memory, 4K. I know you can laugh, but at that time 4,000 byte of memory was really big. At the same time, we had the Apple II coming out, and of course Apple, if you know Apple, they always make it more interesting and more expensive. So they sold the Apple II for, I think it was $1,300 at the beginning, but if you had more memory, you could double this price very easily. Now, let's go back to this Texas Instrument and see what it is and what we can do. So here's the beast here, the Texas Instrument SR60A. So what do we get for $2,000 at that time? $2,000 was really a big amount. So we get a desktop model, which is not too big, but not too small either. I mean, you need to have big desk. It's programmable. You can program, and you can program all those keys here. Some of them have already some pre-programmed functions, but you can program everything for whatever you want to do. And you have a card reader here. You can read magnetic cards, and if you look at the manual here, you can see that it's very well explained how to use it. And at the end, you have the storage for the cards here, and this is very well organized. So the cards are quite big. This is one card here. I think a card can store something like 480 steps of program, but it's a big card. So how do we use that? Well, you switch it on, and maybe the first thing you noticed is that there is some words here printed. It's not like numbers only display. It's really an alphanumeric display. You can print really English words. Prompt him desire. Say yes. It says push yes and load the card. Okay. So the card has two sides. You can slide it this way, or you can slide it this way. So there is a side A, and there is a side B, so you can have 240 program step here and 200 on the other side. So I'll push the card here, and I push yes. There you go. The program is read. And if I want, I can load the other side of the program. I have no idea what's on this card here, so that's why the display is a little bit awkward. But you can load all kind of programs for realtor's office or insurance or anything like that. You can do a lot of calculation, and everything is explained here in this manual and the programming manual. I didn't have the time to read it yet, but so what else can we do now with this machine? We have a very powerful machine. Let's see. We have all the scientific functions here, the one you would expect, like the square root, and so on, like integer part of some numbers, 12.56. Integer part is 12. You can also do all the trigonometric functions here on the side, sine, cosine, and so on. And of course, you can program the machine and write your program on those magnetic cards here. But the machine was primarily designed to be sold for real estate, as you can see on the manual. But just remember, this came out in 1976 or 7, and if you look at the interest rate over the years in the US, you will see that it was the worst time for a realtor office at that time, because the interest rate was going through the roof. So a lot of office closed, and the potential buyers for this machine were very limited. And this is one of the reasons why it's kind of rare, and it's a very nice collector item. There's not too many of them around working. This one is the SR60A, which means there's more memory. The first one was the SR60, and I think the SR60 was even more limited in time. So anyway, thanks for listening. And on the next video, I'll show you something completely different, as usual, either a mechanical one or I don't know. We'll see. But thanks again, and see you soon on this channel.